Welcome in, everyone. Mad Talk Sports episode 43, special number here as it's the MopeySeeker 43 episode. So, Drake, are you ready for it?
No player needed.
No player needed. I'm the player.
I bet you're happy you finally got to wear 43 because you ruined that
We don't have to
by wearing
rehash
number
that.
10.
So, I ran into Cole this past weekend. And he goes, by the way, 10 was a sick number for a defensive end to wear it. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, that's the biggest regret of my life was not wearing 43.
Yeah, I mean, Kish wore 10.
He did.
But for you, yeah, no. Wasn't a good look.
No, it was a bad decision. But it is what it is. And that is not super relevant to what we'll talk about today, but obviously we've got NBA stuff to get into. Last week was the preview episode, which was prediction based. Now it's more so story based. We got through a couple of opening night games and there'll be more games here tonight, but it will still be NFL heavy because NFL is king on Mad Talk, at least during the season. Yeah.
I'm ready for basketball season. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm excited.
I mean, I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. It's just, if two games are on, basketball and football, I'm choosing football.
It's respectable.
But then again,
Depends
I'm
on
not
who's
in a
playing.
fantasy basketball league.
Yeah, that's true. I'm in 6 of them.
Oh my God. How many was your football number by the end?
This year was pretty light. I think I have, I don't know. I know I have at least 21.
How is that light?
At least. Well, because usually it's a lot more. But
if you don't win at least 2 of them, it's over.
I probably won't. Actually, I'll probably win 1 of them at least, I think. But
bold statement for week 7, week 8.
I mean, yeah.
It's too early. Everything's changing so fast. But the big winner, or there is a big winner that we do know about, and that is that's me. The Bucks re-signed Giannis or extended Giannis. So, major W's for Bucks fans everywhere. But nice extension, 3 years, $186 million, which brings Giannis's contract through the 27-28 season. Though that season he does have a player option, but it keeps him locked in Milwaukee for at least the duration of Dame's contract, which gives the Bucks clarity in building out their roster for the next few years here and maximizing their window with Giannis and now with Dame. Drake, what do you think about that contract?
I mean, it's good. You sign arguably and debatably the best player in the league, and there were talks of him maybe being gone, maybe leaving or whatever, but it seems like he wants to be there. So, I mean, why wouldn't he, right? I mean,
right.
Won a championship already.
Yeah.
So why would he leave? Having a great career in Milwaukee, so.
Yeah.
But
dude, it's crazy. He was drafted in 2013. It's already been 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like that long.
No. I mean,
I was thinking maybe he was drafted in 2013. No way.
Yes, sir. 15th pick.
I thought he was, dang. What were we, freshmen?
Yep.
No way. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
I thought he was drafted more junior year, 2016, but
no,
maybe remember. That's when he actually,
Yeah. No, yeah, that's when he became like a household name. Before then, it was just me. I was the one caping for him and talking about how oh man, we got Jared Dudley, we got OJ Mayo and Jared Bayless. It's over.
I do remember. I didn't know it was that long ago, but I do remember you talking about drafting Giannis.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it wasn't like I watched him a lot,
Yeah.
playing in Greece or anything like that. It was, I was gonna like whoever we got, but I liked the potential, and I like how
It's
it worked out.
I will say like the biggest thing for me with Giannis is just his physical growth is just insane.
Yeah,
Like how much weight he's actually put on is just I mean, granted it has been 10 years now, so it's like, whatever. But even, 4 or 5 years ago, his muscle mass was the growth is beyond like, wow, Jesus. I don't know what kind of steroids they put him on, but it
okay.
worked.
He was just never used to American food, bro. There's always these videos of him like trying something for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, corn dog, I love America." He's like, "Oh, a brat, I love America." Like the amount of videos of that I've seen is probably only like 3, but still, it's just wild that it's happened more than once. He's
I
he's
love the
got to be
Chick-fil-A
pretty good.
video of him in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru after winning the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
championship. Yeah.
Man
So
of the
yeah, I
people.
mean, yeah. But yeah, good deal. I mean, big contract, obviously, and I guess you got something to look forward to. But at least basketball is not like football, where like the stars they want these big contracts and then they're like, oh, let me just sit the bed like Joe Burrow. But
Wow. Sneak dissing.
you've got something to look forward to, obviously. And like you said, it's the duration of Dame. So
Yeah,
if that works out, which I think it will, it could, it might, probably will, but
those are the options.
yeah.
Well, the other thing to note is the way that the contract is set up. Giannis can be eligible again for another mini like 3-year extension in 2026 and be eligible for a long-term extension in 2028. So if things are going well in Milwaukee and he chooses to stay, this maximizes his earning potential over the prime of his career because of just the way that the collective bargaining agreement has worked and how it's going to change contracts moving forward. It was a good time now to extend and take advantage of that. So all reports show that the Bucks were the one that pushed this contract and wanted to get it done, which is smart for them, but it's good for Giannis too in terms of just, again, maximizing how much he can make from contracts.
Well, got to get through this one first.
That's true. Yeah. But so not to get too
But
far down the road. But
yeah, it's good to know at least
it's
that that's
definitely
a
good.
possibility and on the table. So
Right. For both sides too. And it's good to have that mutually beneficial partnership for the player and the team. On the polar opposite of that spectrum, Drake.
before we move on,
Oh boy.
3 years for both Giannis and Dame. If there is no championship in those 3 years, would you consider that experiment a failure? Is that what you think what would not like? Is it championship or bust? Like obviously they're going to be good, but is it championship or bust for that?
All right, I got a cheeky answer and I got a real answer. Cheeky answer. There's no failure in sports, Drake. Giannis already told us that. That's my cheeky answer. But in all reality, like, yeah, we're all in on this, which we should be, and we were anyways. So yeah, it's either you win a championship or maybe not bust, because the Bucks aren't that level of a franchise to where, like, if we're not hanging banners in the rafters for rings, like it's a waste. Like I've been driving this bus as far as, like, in the past, Bucks fans, we would have given up our soul for making to the second round of the playoffs. Like, I do value what we've been able to do. Obviously, the goal is championships, and we've only raised expectations with bringing in another elite level all-time player in Dame. So, yeah, that's obviously what you want from a business standpoint. But for a team like Milwaukee, just keeping Giannis longer is a major W, in my opinion.
All right.
Because,
But yeah,
the
polar
NBA's been trying
opposite.
to get him in New York for 7 years.
But polar opposite, you know, one of the East rivals, I guess you could say. Not a real rival, but 76er news. James Harden reported with his bags ready to go to Milwaukee, and they said, no, you're going to stay here. Have fun not getting on the plane, James Harden. You go back to the strip club.
Oh, my God. They hit him with, I hope you packed light because you're not coming with.
You're not, that when I seen that, I was like, oh, my God. Like, does this mean it's over for James Harden in Philadelphia, or is it punishment?
Does this mean it's over? No, it was already over. So, I mean,
well, that's what I thought, but why haven't they traded him yet?
I don't think anyone really wants him enough to give up real pieces. There's a story that the Clippers offered like Terrence Mann and picks for Harden, or maybe it was the other way around. I just know that was the deal on the table, and someone said no. So that's like the threshold is like you're getting like a, all right starter / high end backup and then draft picks for someone who's a former MVP, someone who's finished top 3 in the MVP, 5 times in his career. Like, not a great return on what you gave up for Harden in the first place. So I think the Sixers are playing hardball like they did with Ben Simmons when they took forever to trade him. And I think they're going to try to wait to see who can be the most desperate in 2 months. Who's going to have the slow start? Let's say it's the Kings are a bad example, but a team like the Kings who like has aspirations as far as like we should be taking the next step. If they start off to a meddling 10-10 start, maybe they're willing to throw an extra chip or 2 in to go get a Harden and just kind of like shake the snow globe, if you will. But again, Kings are a bad example, but you know what I mean.
I was gonna say, and like I'm just trying to think of like who would even, I don't know.
The Rockets.
Yeah, I mean that was, I don't know what. I think he's a bad. I don't know. I want to know what's up with his, strategy of getting out of teams. Like, I don't think he should play anywhere. Let him. Yeah, he's talented, but like, just the demeanor of having Harden around the locker room and everything, it just seems like it's not. I don't think he deserves a job. In all honesty, I mean, like he's done this with every team he's been on besides the Thunder.
Yeah.
Tried to get gotten out of it just by purposely getting out of the team, like forcing them
quitting
and not even quitting, like not even demanding like, oh, hey, trade me. It's disappearing for 10 days or wearing a fat suit and, like it's just a bunch of petty stuff that he is forcing their hand, I guess you could say, with stuff that doesn't need to be done. I don't know. Not professional. There you go.
No, it's not. And he should have stayed in Brooklyn, man. Like, he really should have.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened there. Like that was just a.
Pretty sure it was a Kyrie thing. Like I'm pretty sure he rubbed wrong with Kyrie and was done with it. He's like, I'm out. Like, get rid of me.
I can't, Can you think of another player who's done it that way? At least one about it that way?
What, quitting like that?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
Not a player of that caliber.
No.
And it sucks too, because let's rewind the clock like 8 months. Like, he was leading the league in assists. Everyone was talking about how he was so crucial to making things work with Embiid. He had 2 awesome playoff games before the meltdown that, kind of always comes with him. Like, there were some positives in Philly. It wasn't a failure, at least, depending on your standard, but like it was working to a degree. Like, there was no reason to blow this up.
There was something to build on, They played
Boston tough.
Yeah, exactly. So it was something to build on, something that, that obviously we've seen that Harden and Embiid could work, and it was working well. but I don't know what happened.
I don't know. And maybe he's just a time bomb. Maybe that's just the way his personality works.
I guess all of a sudden. Well, I
All
guess
of a
not all of
sudden.
a sudden, but
No.
like, yeah.
It
I
was
don't
like
know.
as soon as the Rockets got past the point of like competing for the Western Conference, like right when that flip switched, he flipped a switch and he was done. He was done being the model citizen for the team. If he ever was that, maybe that stuff was just kept quiet pretty well, like like we often hear about in other stories. Like we didn't hear anything about Antonio Brown outbursts in Pittsburgh, but then the moment he leaves the building and goes to the Raiders, it's every day something new. So that could be the case too.
I mean, what do you think? He's got CT?
I'm not saying that.
No,
I don't
I
know.
know,
Giannis did hit
but
him pretty hard in the face with the ball that one time. You remember that?
maybe that's what Maybe that's what did it.
Maybe just
Giannis is the
Giannis
reason for
haunted him.
Giannis is the reason for James Harden's downfall.
Once Giannis took that MVP when Harden thought he was going to get it, and then that kind of started their little beef for a little bit there. Kind of. I mean, that's when the media started to turn on Harden too. Is like, if you remember in the All-Star draft, Giannis didn't take Harden, and then Barkley jokes like, "Oh, you don't want the dribbler." Like, like the media started to turn on Harden at that point.
And that's what happens. I'm not gonna get into the media. That's a maybe in season in topic or whatever, but
agreed. Well, let's take a break from one other thing to talk about briefly on the basketball front. So we got some news per se or update for LeBron year, what is this, 21?
Mm-hmm.
Year 21, he will be on a minutes restriction per the recommendation of his personal trainer, instructor, whatever you want, fitness instructor, whatever it is. But like his trainer, his trusted advisor from a health standpoint and body perspective has him on a minutes restriction. And the Lakers obviously agree to it and everything like that. So for this year, 28 to 30 minutes is their target per game. Drake, what does this mean for LeBron and what does this mean for the Lakers?
I mean, I kind of would expect it. I mean, I actually like it more than is it? I don't know. Is it his 20th? It's either his 20th or 21st year. I don't know why I'm blanking on it, but I like it more than like trying to load manage him, I guess, where he's taking games off. If they can help him play more games, but he's only playing 30 minutes, whatever, then it's fine. I mean, he's been in the league 20, 21 years, whatever the number is. But if it's going to be crucial time, I don't know. I mean, we've only seen it for one game. We'll have to see how it plays out. I don't think we haven't really seen this for a healthy player with that caliber to the team. I still think he's the best player on that team. I just don't think Anthony Davis is as consistent enough as it could be. But, to have your best player, healthy player, be on a minute restriction, we haven't seen that happen. So I don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
But he's old, so simple. I don't think he can be out there playing 38 minutes every game,
Yeah, I wonder what would happen though if the Lakers down the stretch find themselves in a bind. They're 35 and 35. There's 12 games to go. Right now you're sitting at the 8 seed or the 9 seed or whatever, and you're looking down the barrel of the shotgun and you're saying right now, if the season ends, we're playing the Nuggets in the first round, and that means our season's over. Like, LeBron, we need you to do 36 minutes a night now so we can jump to the 7 seed or the 6 seed or whatever and then play the Kings or whoever it is. Like, that's what I would expect, because I don't think this is like a need thing. Like, LeBron's obviously the single most durable athlete of all time. Like, there's no arguing that. Even now that he has been, injured the past couple of the past few seasons, He's still more healthy than Kevin Durant. He's still more healthy than people, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He's more healthy than AD, for crying out loud. Like it's not that he has to, but I think the Lakers, like, you kind of said, they're trying to save him because they know he is their only hope in doing anything that they want to do. Like if he gets nicked up in the playoffs, like their season's over.
Yeah, I mean, so hopefully it works,
Yeah.
And it's 2023, so it's been 20 years, side note. But 20 years of consistent play. He hasn't had a bad season in 20 years. 20 years of being healthy, 20 years of being the team's leader, like hopefully it helps gives him some longevity, I guess, for the season where he's not missing half the season or whatever, and he could still continue to play at a high level. But yeah, if they do get into that, I don't know. Because if he goes, like you said, if he goes all year playing 25, 28 to 30 minutes or whatever the restriction is, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're going to bump you up to 38.
Risky.
Very
risky. And like something Coach Bud did a lot with Giannis is he would hold Giannis in the regular season to about that 30-minute mark, which is crazy that Giannis is putting up MVP numbers in 30 minutes. But what that meant is in playoff time, when you're like, all right, Giannis, we need 36, we need 38 out of you. It's like, you don't have the win for it. You haven't built it up over the course of an 82-game season to actually do that. So when you think you could just, hit the pedal and go 0 to 60, like it just, your body doesn't work that way. Like you got to build up a tolerance. You got to build up a resistance to it.
Like I said, I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. Like, I wonder if that minute restriction is going to hold all year.
Yeah.
If it's going to work all year, if it keeps him playing all year, I'm curious to see how it all plays out in general.
Yeah.
But like I said, like we've said, it's 20 years of consistency and longevity, so yeah. And he's still playing at a high level, and he's just like, this is the first minutes restriction I think he's probably ever been on. So
most likely, I would imagine.
We'll see how it works, I guess, and how it works for them, because they're not going to be good without LeBron. So,
no, especially not in a stacked West. So, like, we'll see. Like, maybe this won't be a thing by the time January, February rolls around. So, something to keep an eye on. Like, obviously, right now it's just news. It's it is what it is. He's an older player. Like, you want to preserve him. So, totally understandable.
Yeah.
Now, to pivot away from basketball, right now, we got our first move of trades. We got Kevin Byard going from the Titans to the Eagles in a trade revolving around late round picks and what's his name? Edmonds. He used to be on your guys' team, right?
Yep.
Safety. No.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Trell or Tremaine. It's one of the two. One of them's on the Bears.
That's not on the Bears.
Yeah, I think that's Tremaine.
So that's the first move, the first domino to fall. And I think it was a great move, as always. For the Eagles.
I mean, the Eagles are in the Titans' back pocket, I guess, or the Titans are in the Eagles' back pocket. Like AJ Brown and Kevin Byard. Come on. So, I don't know what there's got to be some collusion going on there with the Eagles and the Titans.
I don't know, though. The GM that traded A.J. Brown got fired last year after A.J. Brown just absolutely ate the Titans for breakfast in week 11 or whatever it was. But, dude, what it's getting to me, Drake, now is if you remember, like, really more so in, like, Belichick's prime, the Patriots, every time they made a trade, 3 months later, you're like, oh, my God, they swindled them to the point to where, like, I always said, like, if I'm a GM and I get a call from the Patriots and they offer me a trade, I just assume I'm getting screwed and I say, screw you and hang up. Like the Eagles are entering that territory. Have they made a bad move? Have they misstepped in terms of player additions and player subtractions and whatever it might be? Like, I don't think so.
No.
No.
I mean, DeAndre Swift's looking
Awesome.
phenomenal. Yeah. Like where was this in Detroit? So, I mean, yeah, it's Cam Sutton's playing great for him.
Right.
Wait, he's on the Dolphins. I mean
Detroit.
The Lions.
Yeah.
I switched.
He's doing pretty well though, I think.
But yeah.
But
Who am I
like even
thinking
like
of?
when they brought in Darius Slay, like
and Bradbury. Yeah. So that's who I was trying to say, but I was thinking of the Steelers. Cam Sutton. But anyways, yeah. I don't think they made a bad move. And I just think that's like the Patriots, like you're talking about. So
right. It's like I would not do business with them. I'd be like, I'm sorry. Like you are just too smart that it makes me feel dumb. No, thank you. I guess you could say them getting Robert Quinn last year from the Bears because Robert Quinn did absolutely nothing for them, but that was like a chip steal. It was probably like a 5th, 6th rounder. Like if that's your misstep, like have at it.
I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, and there's more talk for them of trades. So
they're going to maximize their window. They really will.
There's I think they're just rumors, but now how would you feel? I've seen a couple that the Eagles are knocking on the Broncos' door for Surtain. Could you imagine if they fleeced that?
No.
Just rumors, but like, with the Eagles, I don't think anything's off the table. If they're knocking on the Broncos' door, I feel like they could cook something up, do some type of finessing, but that would be.
I mean, I could see the Broncos moving Surtain because they need to start getting their picks back because they gave up, 3 firsts and 3 seconds to get Russ and Sean Payton to be, 2 and 4 or whatever. Like they need to start getting some equity to build their team. You can't do fuck them picks if you're losing.
And obviously he's the most valuable player on that team. So you're going to get the most picks from him. I've seen a lot of talk on teams that are ringing the bell for him.
I believe it.
I think we've got some picks we could offer.
Well, we know you guys. Actually, no. I like Porter so far, but I was gonna say, we know you guys aren't the greatest at drafting corners. You usually got to bring in veterans.
Yeah, I mean, Porter's island right now. He's an island boy for sure.
Will he be to the level of making on next year's top 10?
Hey, I think he's only allowed like 2 catches this year.
Respect.
So, and side note, not to get too off track talking about the Steelers, but Peterson is transitioning to safety a little bit.
Oh,
a little bit, yeah. Because Porter's just playing better than him, but obviously he still needs to be on the field. So
right,
he's playing a little safety. I don't know if it'll be a permanent move, but he's been getting some reps there.
I like that. It's a good move.
I agree. Because now you got Minka, Peterson, and Porter all on the field.
Yeah.
So
best 11.
Yeah.
Best 11.
I mean, and you got to be flexible in the NFL. Get your spot taken, but if you can move somewhere else, you can stay out there.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, now to get back on the rails away from the Pittsburgh pod. So now specifically with the trade deadline, it's next week. I believe it's Tuesday. I forgot the time of day it always is. But with it fast approaching, let's do a little mini draft per se of trades that we want to see or expect to see. I went heavier on the expect to see route, but want to see is perfectly valid too. So, Drake, do you want to start or do you want me to kick off?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, this first one, I've been wanting to say this for a couple weeks now because I really think this one is in the category of what will happen, not something I want to happen. But we talked about the Broncos and how they might be having some level of a fire sale. I think the one that is like a lock to be gone is Jerry Jeudy. And I started to think, I'm like, what could be a good fit for him? Like, obviously, a lot of teams could use a receiver, but the team I landed on is actually a team that's quite good, and that's the Detroit Lions. And the reason I went that route is there's a couple aspects to it. So, one, the Lions, they need to start pressing the buttons for maximizing this team that they have right now. They have an awesome O-line. They have an awesome number one receiver in Amon-Ra. They have very talented running backs when healthy in Montgomery and Gibbs. They've got Goff, who, when everything around him's clicking, is not very good. He's a solid to good quarterback as far as 10 to 15th best in the league, enough to win. He's been to a Super Bowl. We've seen that. The defense is balling right now. However, Jameson Williams has not been a consistent target for them as of yet. Now, obviously, he's only a few games back from suspension, so maybe that'll pick up. But I think you could do better than the Williams and the Reynolds and whoever duos that they got there, and bring in another high caliber player to open up the field even more for you. So that was the first one I went with because, again, they have a great opportunity right now, and they should capitalize on it.
So, okay, this is going to be funny. I guess it's kind of a draft style. So, I put Jerry Jeudy to the Chiefs, but I'm not going to talk much about that because you already took Jerry Jeudy. So I'm going to go ahead and act like it's a draft and I can't take Jerry Jeudy. But off the record, I said Jerry Jeudy to the Chiefs because I think that would be a good landing spot. Yeah, exactly. So I'll kind of just piggyback off of you because another one of my pick was Surtain to the Lions. So, I guess the whole Broncos team is just moving to the Lions. But the Lions have picks to offer. Obviously, you said their defense is balling. Getting Surtain would just be phenomenal. Like you said, they need to go all in with the team they have now. They're going to make the playoffs. So, see what you can do. Adds, a top three, as we both said, island boy to the team. And now you have a stellar defense.
Yeah.
If they got Jeudy too, now you have a stellar offense too.
Yeah, I think especially after getting, the doors blown off by Baltimore, I think we'll get more into this later, but I think they realized yeah, we're good, but we still got some work to do,
Yeah.
I think that was a good eye opener for them, but we'll get to that later. So we both went the Lions route.
Yeah.
With having them make moves and actually be buyers. Since you went second there, do you have another one prepped so I don't steal another one?
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 here. Well, 4, I guess. I have 3, but I know one that never mind. Okay, never mind. I want Chase Young to be traded to the Steelers. That's what I want. Now, there was a lot of talk about it in the offseason. Obviously, never happened. I understand that he's still on the trade block, and I would love for that move to happen. That's a want one that I don't expect to happen, but like I said, there was rumors, and I would love it to happen.
When did Cam Hayward come back yet, or does he have yet to return?
Not out. I mean, not back yet.
So imagine you did get Chase Young, and your front was Hayward, Young, TJ, Highsmith. Wow. Wow.
But
RIP quarterbacks.
I think Ogunjobi would start. It would be Highsmith would move to stand up. It'd be Young, Hayward, Ogunjobi, and TJ. Highsmith would be a linebacker, which would be still RIP quarterbacks.
I mean, it already is that kind of. So
yeah, for real. But adding Chase Young to the defense would be, it'd be lethal. And like I said, I don't know why. Like I said, there were talks about it in the offseason. I've sent it to you a couple of times because it's been rumors all offseason when he originally got placed on the block that we were one of the most interested teams in him. And I don't know why nothing comes of it because nothing ever comes from the Steelers being interested in trading for somebody. I can't think of someone we've traded for besides Minka.
That's true. But at the time, though, people were clowning you guys for that trade because you guys stunk at the time.
Yeah, I know. I loved the trade.
I remember being surprised that Miami even let him go. But
yeah, we didn't give up, our whole inventory for him.
I think you gave up. It was either a first or a second straight up.
Yeah, but
he was also like the 12th pick, so like it was very fair.
Yeah, it's not like we gave up, our future 3, 2 firsts and a second and a third from 2026 for him.
Right.
It was a straight up pick, but I loved the trade. How it turned out, and yeah, now hopefully we can get Chase Young.
One thing real quick, we got breaking news. Not really, but Kyle just said Porzingis is winning MVP this year. Kyle's the king of overreactions, and I just looked it up. Porzingis has 15 points, and they're in the middle of the second quarter, so I guess that explains it.
Wow. 15 in the middle of the second. We should crown him now.
Skip the next 81 and a half games. Like, it's over. It's over. Wow.
Kyle, scrub.
Don't make him come back on here and yell at you about the Celtics.
Yeah. Dude, I can't wait for we got to hurry up and get off. The Spurs play tonight. Victor Wembanyama's debut.
We'll probably be talking about it next week in some capacity.
Yeah.
By that time, they'll have played 3 games, though. So we'll have a runway to talk about. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
So getting back on track so that we can stay within timelines. Next up, I had 2 options for this one. They're very similar. I'm going to go with the less popular one that I've heard or haven't heard. So Josh Jacobs, I think he is going to be on the move. Raiders aren't really competing for anything. They thought they could sneak to 4-3, but woe and behold, I think they forgot that their coach was Josh McDaniel. So now they're 3-4, and it's time to get rid of guys that aren't part of your core, which obviously they don't value Josh Jacobs long-term. I see them dealing him, and a team that I think would be knocking on their door to fix their run game, which stinks. Buffalo Bills get Josh Jacobs.
Dang. Josh Allen would still be the RB1 though for that team. I don't believe in the Bills. I said that preseason or when I first came back on. But yeah, I mean, I like the move. I think, this isn't on here, but I think the Raiders are going to be moving on from a lot. Hunter Renfrow they're working together to find a trade. I mean, he's a wide receiver 3, but and trade Devontae, man.
His contracts can be hard to move.
I know.
That's the problem. Otherwise, he would have been on my list for sure. But yeah, I'm not saying Josh Jacobs would fix the Bills.
Side note again.
Go ahead.
Side note again. Jacoby Myers has been a fantasy steal, by the way.
Yeah.
He is. He's balling.
He's like in that Thielen category.
Yeah, I know. But Mine that I could see happen that I've seen a lot of talk about is Derrick Henry to the Ravens. I've seen the
Whoa,
Titans are looking at moving D-Hop and Derrick Henry.
I've seen that.
Derrick Henry to the Eagles if they didn't have DeAndre Swift balling as well as like he is. But yeah, imagine the Eagles Swift the Titans again and they got Derrick Henry
No, not going to happen.
and D-Hop.
No. What if the Cowboys made a run at one of those guys?
I could see him making a run at D-Hop. I thought he was a target for them anyway in the offseason. This
Maybe.
whole, we talked about it. This whole D-Hop to the Titans thing just took me by so much surprise.
It was a transfer portal. He's like, this is the
Yeah.
team that can get me the money that I need. And then once it's time to go, I can go.
Yeah. And now his contracts might be hard to move too.
Maybe, but since it's a 1-year deal, I think it's a 1-year deal. Maybe I'm mixing him in the Odell deal.
Odell's one.
But I think because of the nature of the contract, the Titans would just eat the signing bonus. So that the team getting him would have a smaller cap hit than D-Hop is actually making. So I think it actually would be quite doable.
I see D-Hop being traded.
Oh, for sure. I feel like it's almost a conclusion at this point, unless you really think he's that important for evaluating Will Levis and Malik Willis.
Levis is starting this week.
I heard that they're going to be splitting time.
That Titans, they're
How about they trade
what a disaster train? Yeah.
Trade him to the Chargers. Oh, that'd be great.
Here we go with this Chargers talk.
They need to be fixed, man. Stop wasting quarterbacks, Chargers. Like, good Lord. But conversation for a different time.
Yeah.
My last one from a trade standpoint, I got Brian Burns from the Panthers. I got him getting moved to the Rams. Rams needing to upgrade their pass rush. And they did offer a deal for Brian Burns last year, but the Panthers said no.
Brian Burns is a beast. Side note, but I've heard that, I read that he is not on the market. The
I believe
Panthers
it.
aren't moving him, but yeah.
Well, the only one I didn't say was, I had listed Henry to the Bills, but I had Henry and Jacobs going to the Bills, so I chose Jacobs just to be a little different there. Did you have any spare tires before we move along?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's dive into week 7 here real quick. And it was a rough week if you were a good team hoping to beat a bad team. And it was a rough week if you were me and Drake trying to make picks. I went 6-7 straight up and it was 5-8 against the spread. So it was a rough week.
I think I went 5-8 straight up. Awful week.
Yeah, it was brutal. All the locks of the week, terrible. I thought the Raiders were a lock.
Yep.
I thought the Bills were a lock. Thought the Niners were a lock. Who else? There were some other ones too.
Yeah. I don't know. The one that shocked me the most was New England beating the Bills. I mean, it shocked me because New England is just so bad. But obviously that's a rival matchup that anyone can win, I guess you could say. But
yeah, for sure. And shout out. We'll get into it when we get to medalists, so I won't go too far into it. But shout out to just the Patriots as a whole not quitting and coming right off the heels of Belichick's contract extension. That debate's over on if he's done.
Yeah.
Which Shout out.
I mean,
yeah. Let me I can take a little mini victory lap from that night so far.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's not out, but he's still struggling right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like there's any relief coming as they are going to Miami this week, which we will get through. But yeah, again, it was a rough week in the NFL for a lot of different teams and a lot of players, and it's that's right before the trade deadline. It's no accident, in my opinion. The bad teams all won this week. The Broncos won, beating my Packers. The Patriots won. The Vikings won. The Bears won. Like all these bad teams, and it's something people always forget about when talking about who's better, who's going to win. At the end of the day, these are grown men. These are professionals that got pride, and they're not cool with going 1-7 and getting their asses kicked every week, especially right before the trade deadline when you might be fighting for your spot on your team or you're auditioning for other teams. Like people always kind of forget about that part of the game is that there's a lot of pride out there. There's no such thing as rollovers. There really isn't.
Yeah. But medalists.
Let's bring it
or
up.
Or do you got more you want to recap?
No, let's get right into the medalists. And I am three quarterbacks.
3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, who's your bronze?
At my bronze, someone who I almost just talked about, and that's Mac Jones, who played maybe the best game of his career, even though it wasn't like outstanding, but it was that game-winning touchdown for me that really did it. That was great. I almost took him off just from his little celebration thing when he ran at Gesicki and he's like doing like this little thing with his legs. And like, I was like, oh, him and Gesicki are made for each other with bad celebrations. But Mac had a great game with his back against the wall. People saying that he needs to be benched for Malik Cunningham, that the Patriots are tanking for a quarterback might still be true. But for now, Mac, congratulations.
Well, I like it. I hate Mac Jones. But my bronze was... Can you take a guess if I did 1 or 2 here?
A team?
Mahomes and Travis Kelce.
Throw Taylor Swift in there.
Yeah, and Taylor Swift. I mean, and Patrick Mahomes' wife.
Brittany Mahomes.
Yeah, but obviously they had a great game. I think Mahomes had 4 touchdowns. Kelce had like 179 yards with like 10, 12 catches or something. And they beat the Chargers, who I thought, I picked the Chiefs, obviously, but I said that game could have went either way. So
I picked the Chargers, and it's, I should have known that, like, even though they play twice a year every year, like, how are they supposed to know that Kelsey's the number 1 target? Beats me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't know that.
I thought you got to be afraid of Kadarius Toney. Like, he might go off for 150. But no, they all balled. Excellent game. They put a stamp on the division, and now the Chiefs can be in cruise control the rest of the year.
Honestly.
And it's not even Halloween.
No.
Like,
Jesus.
It's ridiculous. But
and it's not over.
No,
it's not over. Like, it's just going to keep getting worse for the rest of the league. Because, like, every year, it's like the Chiefs start out and you're like, this might be the year where they're just not that good. And then they start rolling in the middle of the season and it hits Thanksgiving. And I guess this year hits Halloween. And then it's like, yeah, this Chiefs team could be playing in the Super Bowl.
Could be.
Not there yet, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
they just get better as the season goes on.
As most good teams do. They don't peak in September or beginning of October. So, but
who
back
did peak, though?
Who?
Never mind. We'll talk about it later.
A lot of teams have peaked already, but Drake, who got at silver?
Cameron Bynum.
Oh.
2 picks on Brock Purdy in 2 closing drives.
That's true.
Sealed the game. Won the game for him.
Yeah. Probably the
2
first
crucial picks
person
on
to,
2 crucial drives.
yeah, back to back too. Like
Back-to-back drives.
that's impressive. They needed them both too.
Yep.
I like that pick. Good pick. I went with his teammate. I went with Kirk Cousins, who also had an excellent game. And what? Why is that so funny?
Nothing. Kirk.
Dude,
I
you
don't
know I
know. It's
love
just
Kirk.
Kirk Cousins.
Dude, I mean, okay, but let's
I
be
know.
fair. Like, he had a great game, and it's against
Yeah.
obviously an excellent Niners defense and bonus points. Well, actually, I got two more things here. Let's keep going, Kirk. No Justin
Yeah,
Jefferson.
Kirk.
And then last of which, prime time. Prime time
Yeah.
Kirk. He slayed his demons.
I know. And he wore the chain. That's a
The
top
top 10.
10. The top 10 chain.
He's around there.
Probably.
We're getting close to where towards the mid-season where I want to do another QB ranking, and I want to get you in there to do it this time too, so that I'm not going out there unchecked. So I'll be kind of curious to see how that gets. But staying on track here, wrapping up mine again. All quarterbacks here today for me. Gold, Lamar Jackson, awesome game. Put himself right into vaulted himself to maybe the top of the MVP race currently. Like, excellent game.
Lamar was my goal too. The only thing I want to add is that he kind of, his passing was phenomenal against a very good defense.
Yeah.
He was not a running back this weekend, so nobody can say anything about that. He was a phenomenal quarterback.
I agree. My preseason pick was the Ravens to win it all, and season's not over. I'm not going to do the opposite of what I did when talking about teams that I'm not as high on. But like, this is what I've been waiting for them, is for their offense to wake up, and they did. And the defense has been excellent all year. Like, they're a scary team. And, as soon as they can keep fine tuning the offense, and if they stay healthy, they will be dangerous once the playoffs roll around. Apparently they can only lose to the Steelers and Colts.
I mean, that's the Ravens narrative though, is they lose to scrub teams and they lose the close games.
That's fair. Yeah.
So,
but
they're a very good team.
They really are. They're the team that comes out the scariest right now, and right before Halloween, the purple and black looking pretty scary. Now, someone's performance was scary in a bad way. Drake, we got to ask the question. Has Brock Purdy finally turned into a pumpkin?
No. Oh, I mean, it's been 2 weeks. 2 rough games without your number one receiver. I mean, no. I still stand by that he's a good quarterback. But I mean, 2 weeks is a lot in an NFL season, I guess. But it's just so funny that after we talked about it, it's like he had 2 bad games. So yeah, obviously it's a good time to talk about it. But if we had gone 4 or 5 weeks without talking about it, and he had these 2 bad games, it wouldn't have been a topic. It's the timing.
That's sports media.
I know. And, the Niners in general, like, yeah, Brock Purdy's been playing terrible. I will say that. He's had 2 terrible games. And if he doesn't bounce back, I will 100% eat my words and say that I fell for it. But I'm not going to say he's a terrible or a bottom tier quarterback because of 2 bad games. Everyone has bad games, and the Niners in general they're banged up, defense hasn't played well either of the last 2 games. And I guess they did play well the first one, but against the Vikings, they didn't play well. McCaffrey's struggling with an injury. and you don't have Deebo Samuel, you know?
Well, has he turned into a pumpkin? No. So I'm going to be fair to Brock. Like, obviously, this is what I've been saying is going to happen at some point, as far as him turning into a pumpkin, having bad games, which has happened. But I do think the points you made are fair. He's missing his number one receiver, and the Niners as a whole have been banged up a little bit. And they've had back-to-back games where teams just kind of brought it to them from a physicality standpoint. Now, this does further my belief that Brock needs everything around him to be stellar. Otherwise, he's not good. But I don't think just anyone can step in and do what he had been doing. It'll take a lot for me to cross the line of labeling him as a top half starting quarterback in this league. But I'm also not going to sit here and pretend that he is Daniel Jones, like he's somewhere in between there. Now, nothing new was brought to my attention. Like, I already thought this way. Now I just have actual proof that, like, again, he needs everything to be right for him to actually look like a good quarterback. And that being said, he still had some nice plays on Monday Night Football. There were still some positives. It was just the end of the game that was terrible.
And I actually thought that last pick on that last drive, that was a good ball. It's just Cameron Bynum made a great play on the ball. He jumped probably 6 or 7 feet in the air to get that ball. It was a bad decision, but it was a good ball. Where if you didn't have Cameron Bynum make that athletic play, it wouldn't have been a pick. Anyways, but yeah, it's the system. It always has been the system. That's why the 49ers are always good, because that system is good. That system is made to make, bottom half quarterbacks be good.
Yep.
But I will say that I do think that Brock Purdy is doing it in that system the best
that we've seen.
Now, if you put Kirk Cousins in that system,
oh my God,
that'd be,
Super Bowl.
It'd be better. But,
and
with
that's
what
been
their
my main
options
point.
are and what Jimmy G did, I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback, because he's doing it. Before the last 2 weeks, he was doing it flawlessly. And, the pick thing had to come to an end, and it did, but he's still doing it well.
Yeah, and I was gonna say this week would be a huge test for him, but obviously he's in all likelihood not playing with being in concussion protocol, and we'll see Sam Darnold on how he can do within that system. We'll get to that game a little bit later, but last point I have on Purdy is one of the main points of evidence that I have in terms of me believing that he's not good is Kyle Shanahan. From just the decisions he makes, I don't know if he trusts him. I really don't. And I don't know if that's Shanahan's attitude about all quarterbacks, or just like getting in his way, basically. But like I even go back to the Cowboys game where they, murked the Cowboys. Like, they got the ball back under 2 minutes in the first half when it was still kind of a game. And the Niners went super conservative. They're like, let's run the clock out. Like, let's just do that. Like, we're not going to ruin it. We're not going to let our quarterback ruin it, per se. Now, you can make the argument that, like, oh, they're in control. Why would you give up control? But if you had someone who was good, as far as in like a Lamar, a Burrow, a Tua, a Hurts, a whoever, you're going to go try to get points, and whenever you have the chance. Like, that's what you're going to do. And I think stuff like that tells me that Kyle Shanahan does think that Brock Purdy is not, I don't want to say not the answer, but he's not the bus driver. Like, he's the lever puller. Like, Shanahan's going to draw it up perfectly, and he'll trust him to follow direction. But when it's time to start to actually do it on your own, that makes Kyle a little nervous. Do you follow my point?
The only reason I'm going to disagree with that is not because of Brock Purdy, but it's because I've studied that offense inside and out. You know that. Um, I just think that's the coaching style of Shanahan. He's very conservative when it comes to that. Like you said, they're up, they own the clock. That's what he's gonna do. Now, I'm not saying it's because maybe he doesn't trust Brock Purdy, but if you put any quarterback in that situation, and I think that the way Kyle Shanahan coaches, he's gonna do the same thing.
Maybe. Then again, he's never had a special quarterback. That's the thing,
No.
too.
Maybe you put an elite quarterback on there, maybe that changes, but with the mediocre quarterbacks and the system quarterbacks, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on Purdy because, again, this is the third week in a row that we're talking about him.
Yeah.
Let's go to some of the other teams that were more newsworthy, but really because of the things that went wrong. And starting with Purdy's team, the Niners, the Bills, and the Dolphins have all had some very recent stumbles. For the Niners, it's back-to-back losses. For the Bills, they lost only one, but they should have lost to the Giants, and beating the Giants by 5 is an indictment in of itself. So there's that. And then the Dolphins, who lost obviously to the Eagles pretty handedly, and not too long ago lost to the Bills. So have started to see a little trend. Those three teams with their recent stumbles, they looked like world beaters early on. We're going to go one by one with them. What's the concern level for them? 1 to 5, starting with the Niners. Drake, where do you got them?
The Niners, I think that's a 1. A name that we didn't even mention, they're missing Trent Williams too, and that really shows because, again, not to talk too much on Brock Purdy, but they're getting to him every play. I've said it the last 2 weeks, but they're banged up. I definitely don't think it's panic time for the Niners.
Yeah. I agree. I put 1.5. And basically what I said is they're the same team as last year, like almost across the board, in terms of like what they truly are, which, that's a team that was in the conference championship. And you can argue if it wasn't the elbow game, then maybe maybe they're right there with the Eagles. But my only reason that it's not purely a 1 and it's a 1.5 is because you should be a little concerned that, like, over the course of the season, guys are going to be out. And it does seem like when things aren't perfect, you're not the world beaters that you normally are. Like, it's not like you're bad. You lost to a really tough Browns team where you had a chance to win and missed the field goal. You lost to a Vikings team who's desperate, and they were at home, obviously. So, like, it's not embarrassing losses, but it really just shows you how small the margin of error is. And that is, again, why I have to harp on the fact that they should have kept Robbie Gould. Another missed kick the other night. Like,
yeah, they should have kept Robbie Gould. I agree.
So long, grand scheme of things, I still think they're going to win that division. I still think they'll win 12, 13 games. But again, it does show that, like, even if Debo comes back, like if Ayuk goes out, if Kittle goes out, which is not unlikely. Like, this is a very injury-prone team typically, and it does seem if they're missing one of their core guys on offense that they do struggle.
Yeah. How about Buffalo?
Buffalo. I got them as a 3. So
I thought you were going to say a 0.
Oh, no chance. I've had questions on Buffalo, like kind of similar to you. And it's already been an up and down season, like kind of like it normally is. But it's really the fact that the run game, it's still awful. The defense is banged up now. And I saw this meme that is the most accurate thing I've seen in my entire life. And it said, the problem with Josh Allen is that he is exactly as good as who he is playing against. Oh my God. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and it's so true. Like, when he's playing, Tyrod Taylor and the Giants, he looks like he's at like that same level. When he's playing Mac Jones, he's on that level. When he's playing Mahomes, he rises to the occasion.
And it's accurate. Like, I play the same way.
Right, you do. And the
Yeah,
Steelers used to have that problem for a little while, like in the Killer B
yeah,
days.
yep. Um, Buffalo, Buffalo, I gave a 4
Oh,
because you know how I am with Buffalo, and I just think it's going to be the same thing as it is every year. I don't see any difference in the team. Like you said, they're gonna, with that meme, it's very accurate. They're gonna be in contention with these good teams. Might squeak some wins out, and then they'll lose some, and then they'll beat the bad teams, but they'll look awful. And then when it comes to the playoffs, it's a wrap.
hmm.
It's the same Bills team. Nothing has changed. Nothing's got better for me. So yeah, I don't see any reason for me to have any sort of faith in the Bills.
No.
Everyone always falls for the
September champs.
first. Yeah, and I don't, because it's the same thing. Stephon Diggs is a beast. Josh Allen's can be good. Their defense is good. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough. And I think it's one of those situations to where, like, like they'll still probably make the playoffs, right? And they might win a playoff game. But at some level or at some point, is that good enough? Is it time where you
No.
just simply need a change? Like, you need a new voice, you need a new coach, you need a new scheme, whatever it is. Like, at some point, you got to shake the snow globe. Otherwise, you're just going to look the exact same as you've been. I think you're exactly right. It's the same old Bills. Like, they can look like the best team in the league one week, and then they can look totally incompetent the next.
Yep. And then what'll happen is, like you said, they'll win a playoff game, and then they'll meet Patrick Mahomes, and they'll lose.
Pretty much. How about the Dolphins? Staying in the same division.
Dolphins gave a 2 because they rely on that explosiveness and that speed of that offense, and obviously it's the same thing too. Like, if Tyreek is on, they're good.
Yep.
If Mozart's on, they're good. Obviously, their run game wasn't on against the Eagles.
No
Now,
one's is usually.
when their run game is on, yeah, true. Basically, I just don't think that they have anything to worry about, because they are a score 40 team or score 20 and lose,
Yeah.
So it's like in basketball, you live by the 3, you die by the 3.
Yep. It's a good
Miami
comparison.
lives by the speed and dies by the speed. So I
Speed
still think
kills.
they're good, obviously. Same thing with like the Bills. And I do think that I think that Miami is more likely to get in the playoffs and win games than the Bills are. Not because, I think that the Dolphins are better. Like, I just don't think that I don't think that there's any part of the Dolphins that stink. I just think it is like a live by the 3, die by the 3 situation
Yeah,
type
that's
of
fair.
team. And yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not mad at it. For me, I went a tick above. I went a 2.5 here. So I know I was like, a 3 feels too mean, but a 2 is not, sounding the alarm enough. So I have them in between the Niners level of concern on the low end of the spectrum and the Bills on the higher end. I got the Dolphins splitting the difference. And the reason is I still think they're an excellent team. I think they're a team that can, blow out teams, even pretty good to good teams. My main concern is you have a clear weakness. Teams that can out physical you and have talent to match you, they're going to punk you and they're going to beat you. And they're 0-2 in those games this year, and teams that qualify at that. And once it gets down to it, that's who you're going to play. You're going to play the Bills. You're going to play the Chiefs. You're going to play the Ravens, the Jags, whoever it might be. And can you fix that problem? I don't know if you can fix like toughness like within a season. Like they might just be a little too pretty, like, yeah, live by the 3, die by the 3 is kind of like you're saying, but like imagine putting that style up against like, the 90s Bulls. Like, like if you're just not going to win that.
No.
Like even if you got analytics and math on your side, like at the end of the day, you got to lace them up same as the other team and you got to go do business.
Yeah. And I mean, their defense is awful. Like there's just no getting around that.
At least they get Ramsey back, but
yeah. I mean, that should help. I kind of disagree because their corners right now are getting toasted. I don't know who plays opposite of Howard. I don't know who it is, but he stinks.
I'm trying to remember. I don't know, but does it make you better? For sure, but does it make you?
But does it fix
better?
your? No, it doesn't fix your problem. But
and the offense only scored 17. Like that's the problem too. Is that like, all these defenses that can punk you? Like, are you going to lose a game 24-20 when you have an offense that's going to end up being top 5 all time? Like in terms of like stats over the course of the season, like that's not a great combination to have. Like, again, I still think they're an excellent team and they're going to blow the doors off a lot of people. And even some good teams, I think they're just going to destroy. I'm really curious to see how they match up with the Jets later on in the year. Like, because last year the Jets beat the Dolphins. That might have been when Tua was out.
Kader Kohu.
Yeah. He was good last year.
He's questionable. And then they have Cam Smith. I forgot they have Eli Apple.
Oh, yeah. Burnt toast.
Yeah.
Inconsequential. But past the concern meter, like this next one could have been right up on there, and talking about the Lions. But specifically, I want to break down the game because, Ravens-Lions was obviously, it seemed like it could have been game of the week just from how the teams match up, but the Ravens stomped them. And I specifically want to ask, like, how legit are each of these teams? Like, how do we feel about the real chances from a contending standpoint for the Ravens and the Lions?
I think they're both legit, I think that I don't think the Lions are like Eagles legit, but I don't think they're like the Vikings last year, I think they're somewhere in the middle where they could win a playoff game. And if they do go all in, like we kind of talked about, they could win a playoff game and maybe give the second round some work. And then I think the Ravens are legit.
I think, let's start positive. I think the Ravens, like their A game is the scariest in the league. Now, I'm not saying they're the best team in the league because they're not. They're inconsistent on offense and their receivers are still a work in progress and their running game is a bunch of guys. So I'm not saying they're the best, but at their peak, like very scary. Like Lamar at his best is almost unstoppable with his escapability and the vision he seems to be developing. And I like Zay Flowers a lot. Mark Andrews is an absolute beast, and that defense is dominant. So Ravens, super legit. Never question that. That's one of the things I've been right about so far this year, as far as them being really good. The Lions, now, legit, it depends. I think the picture you painted, I could get on board with. Like playoff team, win a playoff game. I believe that. I think, they're fun. They're a fun team. They're a great story. They're cute. Like they got all this stuff going for them. But at the end of the day, they're not the Eagles. They're not the Niners. They're obviously not the Ravens, as we just saw. They're just in that next tier. They're on that level with probably like the Cowboys and the Seahawks. Like those are good teams. And for the Lions, that's higher than you've been in decades. So, it's no reason to be mad about. But they need something to unlock to get to that next tier, because so far they've been mostly beating up on mid teams, the Falcons, the Packers, the Panthers, the whoever. Like, I want to see them beat a good team. Like, obviously they beat the Chiefs week 1, but there was no Kelsey, there was no Chris Jones. What's going for the Lions is they have an easy schedule. They could get the 1 seed, even if they are only pretty good, because they have the Bears twice, the Vikings twice, the Packers one more time, the Broncos. Like, it's pretty soft, man. But they do have the Cowboys later on, and that'll be a game I'm really paying attention to. So, sum it up, I'm on the same page as you there, but I have concerns.
I agree. I think that game would be that game would be a good game.
I think so.
Lions, Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because I think the Cowboys are, like you said, the same tier as the Lions.
Yep. Now, obviously, I went into the year higher on the Cowboys than most. And maybe either of these teams, any of these teams, obviously, like they can hit the stride and keep going. Like, we're not even the halfway point of the season. Last year at this time, the Jags were 2-5 and the Lions were 1-6. Like, shit happens in the NFL. Like, it's never over until it's over.
Any given Sunday.
It's
a saying for a reason.
Right now, any given Sunday for the Packers needs to improve. Packers have lost 3 straight after a 2-1 start to the season. And for a lot of Packers fans, they are losing their minds. And before I kind of go into my side in terms of how or where I'm at with the Packers, Drake, from an outside perspective, where's your head?
Dude, the Packers suck, man. I'm sorry to I don't know if I'm the one informing you of this, but they suck. As long as you have Joe Barry, you're terrible. Jordan Love hasn't looked good. I apologize again if I'm the one who's giving you that information. Your run game hasn't looked good. Don't know if you've noticed. Your offensive line is garbage. I know it's not your starting offensive line, but it's what you got right now, so you can't live off a fairy tale of something that you don't have on the field right now. Your defense has weapons. Like, you guys have stars on your defense, but your defensive coordinator and my offensive coordinator should be sitting together on a couch somewhere in, like, Ohio, somewhere. But, yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you laying it on easy, laying it on thick there. So I went into the year, and so did many Packers fans, wanting to kind of double dip. Like, we knew this was a rebuilding year, but we're like, hey, hopefully it's a rebuilding year. We squeak into the playoffs. Like, we wanted it both ways. And, season's not done, but it's looking like it's more of the rebuilding year because some stuff just doesn't look right. Jury's still out on Jordan Love. I like a lot of what I've seen, but I've hated a lot of what I've seen too. So right now, my main concern has been play calling. I have not liked that whatsoever. It's been very plain. The Packers have come out flat every week since actually every week, honestly. Like, even the games we've won, we started pretty slow against the Bears and against the Saints. And I would say the silver lining.
Saints game was yeah. It was yeah. Anyway,
and that's
sorry.
What I want
Silver
to see
lining.
more of. It seems like Jordan Love, once he gets in a rhythm, he's got it. He just got to keep it going, keep her moving. But when it's not, like, it takes a little bit for him to get going. Like, we have too many 3 and outs, just way too many 3 and outs. Now, part of that is Aaron Jones being not fully healthy, not being able to use him all the way. But it is also the O-line not being good, like you said. It's the weapons being inconsistent, and it's the play calling being downright bad and very questionable throughout. So I by no means have liked the product that I've been seeing. And I am king of that bus in terms of Joe Barry needs to be gone. It's not even the defense's fault. It's the offense, man. And are these mistakes correctable? I think so. But man, we gotta figure something out just to at least not look dead for 2 quarters at a time. Like, you can't win football games that way. Like, we did against the Saints, but it was a missed field goal away from losing that game too. So I'm not panicking saying that we're dumb for trading Rodgers and that the season's over. Jordan Love's terrible. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not, 3 weeks ago, I was singing about how things are looking good. So I'm not going to just throw that all away. However, I do want to see improvement across the board. So season's not over. Another chance again this Sunday. Let's see what we got.
Now, something you guys just haven't looked good all year. You won games. You just haven't looked good all year. Jordan Love's talented.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
So.
I don't know if you guys struck gold again, though. But I would say it's still too early to tell.
Right.
But the decision-making is just not there. That's something you would be able – that's something you can see. Decision-making, obviously it's something you can develop, but, over how much time? How much time do you have to develop?
Right.
Decision-making, good decisions. How much time do you have to develop a head on your shoulders, And I just don't think the decision-making is there. Yeah. It's not awful, but, it's got to be better if you guys want to have a good offense.
Right.
And it could play into the play calling. That's something that you would see more than me. But yeah.
Yeah. And so how I felt originally about Jordan Love after 3 weeks was actually the opposite. I was like, I like every read he's making. He misses some throws. Like, he's not super accurate quite yet, but he makes the right reads. But then that Raiders game, all of a sudden, it kind of just flipped. Like, he was making bad reads. So to me, the way I perceive that is either it's a result of us running into failures and he's too in his head, or maybe it's the Justin Fields thing where he's saying the coach is too much in his head. Either way, it's not a great sign in and of itself, but jury's still out. And I'm old enough to remember Aaron Rodgers' first year. Like, he had really good numbers by the end of the season, but we went 6-10 and we were like 0-6 in 1-score games. And that's the silver lining, is that at very least, if Jordan Love is the guy, he's getting practice in these close games, like in tough moments where it's not easy. Like, nothing's been easy for the Packers post week 1. So can we improve? Yeah. And I sure obviously hope so. I'm not going to write it off, and I'm a ride or die, but definitely some things that are a little concerning that I want to see cleaned up.
Respectable.
Now, on the flip side, Drake, do you have an offensive coordinator now?
No.
You scored 20 points. That doesn't happen for you guys unless the defense scores.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
No? Just no?
Nope.
I agree.
Nope. Still terrible.
Dude, why does it take you to the fourth quarter to give Pickens the ball?
Why does it take us until the fourth quarter to, not punt? There's a lot of Kenny Pickett audibles that I'll be saying, and I'm starting to like Kenny Pickett.
It does look all right. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, he does. He looks okay. He looks like he's not. I don't know. Like I've always said, I'm not giving up on him because of our offensive coordinator, and our offense is terrible. But no, I think we're gonna be good. I think we're still good. But yeah, no. Do we have an offensive coordinator? No.
Okay.
I just I see an AI hologram sitting up there that doesn't cheer every time we score because he's like, I meant to lose 4 yards. Yeah. You're supposed to lose 4 yards and kick.
Like, man, I had this 2nd and 14 play drawn up perfect. Wow. All right. Well, Good then. So we can stay on track timing wise and get to our last topic, Drake, and that's our picks for week 8. You know, again, we're coming off a rough week, so let's turn this car around to get back on the train of winning.
Man, I hope so.
Me too. A lot of big spreads this week, which is scary.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great is right. First up, Thursday night game. We've got Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Two teams coming off of losses. Bills are favored by 8.5. Drake, I don't know if you believe in either of these teams.
I don't. So, it's hard for me because you know what? It's Baker Mayfield versus Baker Mayfield, and who's got the better supporting cast? I would say, I guess I'm going to have to roll with Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Buffalo. I got the Bills too, 27-20. To me, this feels like either the Bills comeback game to where they win by 40, or it's another man, what is going on here? And then they barely escape with a win. So, this would be a scary game to bet on.
Or it's wow, Baker Mayfield versus Baker Mayfield is real, and Tampa Bay just won because Tampa Bay's defense is good.
Maybe.
And Josh Allen throws 2 picks.
Yeah. I mean, that's within the realm of possibility. I'm kind of hedging my bet here. I picked the Bills straight up, but I picked the Bucs to cover. So
yeah,
we'll see. We will see.
I think that's a fair way to go. Because it's like the Buccaneers still do stink for the most part, but
kind of.
But yeah, all right.
Okay. Well, now this next game is New York, played in New Jersey. Technically, the Giants are the home team. Not that it matters in MetLife/JetLife Stadium, but we got Jets Giants, and the Jets are favored by a field goal coming off the bye.
Can I just pick New York?
No.
I mean, I guess I got to go with the Jets, right? Even though the Giants' defense has played well the last 2 weeks.
It has.
I'll say that. There's got to be an upset somewhere, right?
Does that mean you haven't picked any other upsets?
I'll pick. I got the Jets.
I got Jets too, 20-16, and if Daniel Jones plays, 20-10. Next up here, though, we got the Jags and Steelers in Pittsburgh. Jags are 2.5-point favorites on the road. Drake, you haven't picked against the Steelers all year.
It's not starting this week either.
That's
not starting this week either. Yeah, no, that's it. I got the Steelers.
Wow. Duh. Well, I will pick against the Steelers for the second time this year now. I got the Jags 24-16. Really, I think this will be an ugly game. I think this will be a grinder. And really my main reasoning is that while I picked you guys to beat the Rams, I thought you guys could do enough on offense to take advantage of a mediocre defense. The Jags defense is legit, and Matt Canada might take 3 quarters to get 100 yards of offense. I don't know.
100 would be a miracle if by 3 quarters.
Wow. As long as all of them are Pickens, that's fine for me. Fantasy team needs it. All right. So that's our first disagreement of the day so far. We've got a rematch now with the Eagles and the Commanders, this time in Washington. Eagles are 6.5-point favorites on the road. This game last time went to OT.
I got the Eagles. They're in it now.
They figured it out. Yeah. Eagles 28-20, covering just barely. This next game, kind of curious to see what your thoughts are, but we got Rams at Cowboys. Cowboys coming off the bye, and they are 6.5-point favorites.
Dallas.
Okay. I got the Cowboys too. I got them 23-17. So I actually picked the Rams to cover by 0.5 point. So that's always threading the needle.
I just don't know about the Rams, man.
I know. I like some of their pieces, but I don't know what it is. they're just missing something. But at least they're not like a total train wreck like people thought they would be. Well, we've got the hot team of the week coming off a massive upset. We've got the Minnesota Vikings coming to Green Bay. Vikings are slim favorites on the road by 1.5.
I got the Vikings.
Well, you know where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean,
I got the Packers 23-20. It's hard to
fine
win.
To be wrong sometimes.
Wow, sometimes. Well, last week I was wrong 7 times. But this was a game where I kind of put more thought into it than I would have, thought I was going to 2 weeks ago when, Packers were 2-1 and the Vikings were 0-3. However, I still do feel good about it.
I know what the reasoning is too.
They're a dome team and they're outdoor.
It's in Lambeau, yeah.
No, not necessarily. It's still warm out. Like, actually, it will be dropping pretty significantly by the time this game rolls around. So maybe. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it might be a wake-up game for the Packers. At least that's what I'm rooting for. So maybe that's a little heart over head. But last week we went with the head, and it brought us to 6-7. So maybe we need to switch it up a little bit. Next up here, we've got the Arthur Smith revenge game. Falcons going at the Titans. Falcons 2.5-point favorites on the road.
Since apparently the Titans are experimenting with 2 quarterbacks, I've got to take Atlanta.
Agreed. I think it's going to be a very ugly game of the battle of running backs, and I got the Falcons 20-16. So not going to be a great game. I mean, it might be exciting coming down to the end, but in terms of quality of football, those are some bad quarterbacks playing, man. Some bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the Patriots coming off a huge win. Bill Belichick's 300th in the regular season, but he's got to follow it up with going to a pissed off Miami Dolphins team in Miami, and Miami is a 9.5-point favorite.
Yeah. This is a game too I wanted to pick an upset with, but I no, can't do Miami.
Ooh, man, I can't step on this this landmine again. I picked the Patriots the first time, so I can't do it again. Dolphins 28-17. I do think the Patriots will make them work for it, but Patriots offense just isn't good enough to take advantage of that Dolphins defense. So Dolphins, and I got them covering. Actually, hold the phone. Yeah, no, I got them covering. All right. Not by a lot, but they do. Next up, we got Battle of the Dome teams. We got the Saints at the Colts. Colts are favored by 1.5.
Saints. Unless Olave doesn't play because he got arrested.
That's fair. Speed McGee. But I guess he was going 70 at 35.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse.
Could be
going like 130 and a 70,
What did Jordan Addison got flicked too, so
that's true.
That was off season, but
yeah, I don't think that'll be a big
Saints.
Yeah, I got Saints 23-20, kind of a pride game that they barely get, that they barely take. Saints don't look all that great, and the Colts are feisty.
Yeah.
So that could be a good game.
Gardner Minshew, man.
It's pretty all right.
He had a good game.
Yeah, he did. Now we'll see if he can follow it up with another good game, because the game before that he was awful. Maybe he's just an every other week guy.
I already know I'm gonna fold and start him in fantasy this week, and he's gonna give me 3 points.
So it goes. All right, next up, we've got the battle of the top 2 picks. Texans at Panthers. Texans are 3-point favorites on the road.
I'm going to pick the better quarterback of the 2. I've got Houston.
Okay. I'm picking the upset. I'm getting it. The Panthers are finally going to win one. It's that pride factor again, Drake. The game before the trade deadline. I got Panthers 26-24, and maybe they're lucky to win it, but I got a little feeling. That feeling will have me hooked on a feeling. I don't know, something along those lines. But
Something. I mean, gut feeling. Go with it.
gut feeling. Okay. Now, this next game is kind of an interesting one, but we've got Browns coming off another hard-fought W going at Seattle. Seattle is favored by 3.5. I'm kind of actually a little surprised it's not a bigger spread.
What's his name is playing again?
PJ?
Not Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Yep.
So I've got Seattle. But then again, I don't know, man.
Dude.
I don't know, man.
Dude, this feels like a trap.
Defense. I know
the more
it
I think
does.
about it, it feels like a trap. 3.5 points. Like, I bet you 90% of the money is on the Seahawks covering. They're going to be like, oh, Watson's out. Like, you know, the Seahawks are good. Like,
and dude, I got the Browns. Yeah, I got the Browns. I got the Browns. 100%. I got the Browns. We already talked about Geno Smith not stepping up in the pocket.
That's what's got me scared, dude. He might give them 2 touchdowns from that.
Yeah, I've got the Browns. No going back now. I said it.
Fuck it. Audible. I got the Browns too. I'm just going to flip the score I had on here. I got Browns 20-14. Wow.
I like it.
I like how we talked through it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We both flipped too. We both flipped too. Imagine the Seahawks win. We're looking like idiot. This is how you lose bets. This is exactly how.
You think about it too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to do your gut feeling on stuff. But, yep, we're past it. It's out there. It's in the ether. It is written down in stone. Next up, this game not quite as good. I wonder if the line moved since I wrote it originally. But Cincinnati at San Fran, and the Niners are 5.5-point favorites. Now, that might have been before the news of Darnold, so I don't know if that line has moved. Might actually take a peek.
This again, I'm gonna skip this game. I'm gonna use my my Uno skip card.
Who says you get an Uno skip card?
I do, because you know what? This game just relies on so much.
Line went down.
2?
It went down to 3.5 points, so it went down 2 points. So apparently Brock Purdy's worth 2 points more than Darnold.
You know, this game just relies on a lot. Is Trent Williams playing? Is McCaffrey fully healthy? Debo's out, I believe. Fred Warner was banged up. Sam Darnold stinks. Are the Bengals back? You know, like Uno skip card.
Wow. Okay. Well, I will pick.
I'll take the Bengals. I'll take the Bengals. I'm gonna audible this one too. I wrote down San Fran, but that was before I found out that Darnold was playing. But Cincinnati.
I'm gonna stick with the Niners. I thought this would be a close game regardless. I'll just stick with it. Niners 23-21. I think they're going to feel a little sense of urgency as a team, and we'll see. We'll see. That is a hard one. I don't think I would bet on that game. It's a tough game.
But then McCaffrey, if he plays, he'll tear up that Cincinnati defense. Whatever. I said the Cincinnati. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on this game at all, so I don't even care about this one.
Absolutely not. Even though it'll be probably a good game.
I'm gonna skip this one on my when I count my record.
Rude. All right. Next up is one you're definitely not going to skip.
Chiefs.
Okay. Yep. So Chiefs, the audience, are favored by 7.5 on the road against Denver. I've also got the Chiefs, and I do have them covering, so nothing to go into depth there. Though, to be fair, it seems like the games that we skip past the fastest are the ones that end up in upsets.
I know.
So
let's just spend 2 minutes talking about the Chiefs real quick.
Just so that they don't lose.
Yeah. This next one I'm going to skip past too.
No, you are not. What? The Ravens Cardinals?
Yeah, like I'm just gonna go ahead and say Ravens and then move on to the next one.
All right. Well, Ravens are on the road, 8.5-point favorites. I've also got the Ravens, and I've got them covering pretty easily. Okay. All right. On to the next.
There we go. Yeah.
Dude, these last games are terrible. The next game is Chicago at the Chargers. Chargers 8.5-point favorites at home.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Unless this Bears quarterback is
no. Okay, let me be fair and nice for a second. Shout out. Just, being able to step in from Shepherd University and getting a W against an NFL team in your first career start. Absolute shout out, and shout out to the Bears.
On a terrible team.
However, now you're going to play a team that actually knows how to score. So,
good luck. Yeah. I got the Chargers by 65.
Okay, I've got the Chargers by 14. They're still the Chargers. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, now last game of the week. Raiders-Lions. Lions 8.5 points at home.
I wonder. Lions
by 20 plus.
Yeah.
Pride game.
Yeah, the last 4 games we could have just, done in half of 2 seconds. Yeah.
I don't know, though. Did we just set all those teams up for failure?
We might have. All right, let's go Denver.
Oh, my God. If that is a thing, then I'm going to start being strategic.
Yeah. If that's a thing, I might start betting on the ones that we skip past.
Not a bad idea. All right. Well, that's going to be a wrap. What we had prepared for episode 43 here today. Yeah.
The MopeySeeker episode.
The MopeySeeker episode. That's the title. Boom. Write it down.
Boom.
Type it down. But yeah, that's a wrap. Excited to see how our picks play out this week, or if all these, throwaway games end up being the games of the week, like it has been apparently for us. And
that's
excited to
gross.
What if it would definitely be gross if we came on here and talked about the Bears and the Broncos
Chargers
and the Chargers.
Well, the Bears and the Chargers game is what I meant. Like if we had to come on here and be like, oh yeah, the Bears Chargers games, blah blah blah. Lame.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we're coming on here to talk about how we nailed that Browns pick.
I know. And that never mind. Hopefully I come on here and I'm like, haha, Cincinnati, I'm a Bengals fan. Just kidding. Wow. Never, ever.
Never, ever. All right. Well, that's a wrap on episode 43. Thank you, everyone, as always, for joining in. And again, make sure to check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, all at Mad Talk Sports, to see all of our great content. We're excited to come back to you next week.
Victor Wembanyama episode.